Hello, everybody. My name is Emmanuel J. My friends call me E-Man. I've been here for 10 years and I've been supporting the accounting and financial industry.
I'm Mary Lou Tiquette. I'm your customer success engineer, and I'm here to help out Eman today on his demonstration of the tax solution. So I think we'd like to just go over a little bit of what we'll be demonstrating today. We're here today to show you how you can streamline your federal individual tax process with our Industry Advantage solution. Our tax solution is revolutionizing how accounting firms manage tax preparation, from client onboarding to compiling documents to providing the final return. This tool offers a comprehensive approach to streamline and enhance your client engagements. The key benefits we'll be outlining for you today are enhanced efficiency, increased capacity, handle more clients with ease, boosting your firm's productivity and service capabilities, and improved visibility by tracking and management of tax preparation tasks. Features of particular interest with this ready-to-use solution are that there is no need for extensive setup. You can start optimizing your process right away. There's built-in automation to reduce manual tasks, and it's unified so that you can seamlessly integrate all stages of your client engagements into a cohesive system. So with that in mind, we will move on to Eman's demonstration. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mary Lou. So today in ShareFile, we've introduced a couple of things because we have realized that times are changing. Our customers have to be more efficient, and especially in the accounting industry or the tax preparation industry, a much streamlined approach and also enhancing the customer experience. Let's jump into how we are going to set this up as the service provider. And if you can see my screen, there are a lot of things happening, but I would like you to follow my cursor to the catalog section. Once you click on that, it launches a page that we have introduced. This page is a resource page that allows you to put together the various items, solutions, workflow to help you accomplish various tasks within the industry that you're working. So as you can see, we have a few for bookkeeping, client onboarding, and then the various industries to the left-hand side. Another thing that we'll look at here is integrations. We all work with third-party applications as part of our workflow. ShareFile today is committed to ensuring that as many third-party applications that our customers work with in conjunction with ShareFile can be integrated seamlessly. If you're seeing my screen, we use Salesforce, and in there, I've established some connectivity so I can pull in my leads and send out files as required. Now, the meat of the solution. As Mary Lou mentioned, we are trying to eliminate the manual process of you creating the solution. So in ShareFile today, we've come up with ready-to-use, pre-configured, predefined solutions that all you have to do is plug and play. What I mean is install the application, make it available on your account, and you're good to go to start processing 1040 tax returns. But before we do that, a couple of things. We're always going to update these so there'll be newer features. So come back in here to upgrade as required. And with that said, let's jump into my ShareFile account. If the tax solution is properly installed, there'll be this new node called the tax feature. When it loads up, it provides me with an interface as a service provider to work with the various clients that I have. I can also work with new ones. And the reason why we chose ShareFile is that I have a Gen Z client who gave me some really unfavorable feedback from the last engagement. And I promised them that this year we're going to have something better. So how do I go about doing that? A couple of things here in the tax solution is that this is a list of the clients. It keeps me organized. These are all my open engagements. If I drop down, I can get to the closed ones. But this guy is ready. I told him that I'm about to create an engagement where we can have that space, no more phone calls. no more tracking documents, no more tracking him for information that is required. This solution is not a standalone. It falls back to what we've been doing. So if you have client users that you work with today, you can always go in, pick one, or pick the client you're going to work with and start the process. We always allow you to create new clients on the go. Simple process of a first name, last name, and email address triggers an account, and then all you have to do is activate it. So let's jump into creating an engagement for my tax client. And hopefully he likes this process. Now, once I click on engagement, a couple of things are going to happen. The ShareFile platform is going to create the engagement agreement, which is more like a signature request. It's the terms of the agreement, the pricing, and if he's okay with it, he signs it and sends it back. The ShareFile automation kicks into play and assigns the remaining client request items to him, which includes a tax questionnaire to collect basic information about him. Although I have worked with him before, I just want to be sure that the information I have is current. There will also be predefined request lists, which is known in the industry as provided by client. Now, the creation process is pretty quick. It didn't allow me to also finish what I had to say, but what we have in here is the engagement that I've created for my client that I work with. A couple of things I can do here is to edit the details so that we know which year I'm going to prepare this tax for. I can put in a description so that the next person who takes over as the service provider knows how or knows what this is about. A couple of things you can also do here is to create an activity report. These are all things we'll talk about shortly. But let's get into the meat of the solution. What does the questionnaire look like? This is a web form. The questions here were based on research. I can guarantee that I would say majority of tax preparers will be asking these questions. We have predefined this, but you have the option to go in, edit the questions, use a logic control, or also the content control based on which question is provided, is more relevant, and what to present based on the answer that we get. Once you're done, you can do a preview of the questions before it's assigned to your client. So although it's a ready-to-use solution, you have the option to further customize this. One thing that we'll talk about is due dates. You can always set these due dates according to the length of your engagement. If it's 30 days, it's something that as a tax preparer, I've thought about, and I want these answered within the shortest possible time. So I can set it even up to tomorrow and go ahead and save this. So these are within your control as the tax preparer, or what we'll call the service provider. Next thing to talk about here is what we call our document request. It's streamlined. I talk about this from my perspective, and if you've not heard from my accent, I moved to the United States and I had no clue how to file taxes. So I would say I kept calling my tax preparer or consultant, what are these forms? So this really helps somebody like myself to be able to go in and understand what specific item based on the description I would need to provide to my tax preparer. We are saying that all these are in draft because we've not started a process. We've not invited the client. He's not aware that we are setting up this space. Now let's move on to the next things here. Any file or all files that are collected will be in my all files section. It's not available to my client. And when I'm done, I'll post the tax return that is completed for him to have access to. I would like you to pay attention when I send out the agreement. There will be a pop-up that says that the workflow has started. So let's jump in and talk about the engagement agreement, right? This is built off our signature request. We've created templates. This is what it looks like. It's all your option. You can create your engagement letters or contract letters and send them out as agreements. Now, I'm about to hit send agreement, and as you rightly saw, it started the onboarding workflow. My client gets a phone call or a text from me, and it's more to let him know that, hey, the new solution is in play, and I need you to go in and sign the engagement letter. My email, but yes, there we go. Now, for the signature piece, it's not within the portal. Just like your regular signature solutions, once I click to review and sign, it opens up in a web browser page. We've revamped this to be very competitive to what we have in the industry today. It's pre-filled with dates. It guides me through the signing process so that I don't miss anything that is required. So I call it a pretty easy to use. You can type, draw your name. I prefer the typing feature because it's easier. I'm not good at that. But once I'm done, I'll go ahead and submit this. But there are a couple of actions that you can do. I can download, I can show progress, I can save progress. I can decline the document because the price that was sent to me is not what I agreed. But if I submit this, it is my expectation as the tax preparer that all items within my tax solution for that client or that tax engagement for the client is auto-assigned. That's where the workflow comes into play. And like any web solution, I'll have to do a refresh here for us to see, number one, a copy of the signed document, which is the engagement letter, and very soon, items being assigned to my client so that he can now go into the portal, answer any questions that I have for him, and then upload any relevant documents. So as we can see here, I didn't go in to manually assign this. The solution closed out the request for engagement letter and assigned the questionnaire. I just want to make sure that it's going through the assignment process, so we're seeing that email is not doing it manually. This is where I take a seat back, let automation come into play. I can start working on the next client that I have to work, that I need to prepare taxes for. So it's all how you want to now utilize that time. And that's where we talk about efficiency, right? Because we are freeing you from doing the regular manual stuff. Now, I'll jump into my client view. If you've used ShareFile before, you would be wondering why this is different. We've developed a new interface. We've removed all the clutter from the client view so that the client is focused on what we need them to accomplish. And any open items will be in the open tax section. And then anything that we complete will show up in the completed section. Voila. So what we are seeing here is the items that were in my user interface as the consultant or the service provider that I've assigned to my client. And my client is now seeing this in his portal. Same username and password because I worked with him last year. If he has any access to folders, they're still going to be there. So we are not changing how they use ShareFile. We are further enhancing the experience. Now, let's go into filling out the form. If realistically everybody has this information, I know my client, but I would say as a client, I know I'm single, so I don't have anything to do with a spouse. I like my money delivered through direct deposit so that it doesn't get missing in the mail. Let me provide my account number so that as a Gen Z individual, I'm not worrying about the little things. I'm all online. I have a job. I received a W-2, so obviously I'll have to provide that. I don't own a home. I paid rent. I don't have kids. I don't have dependents. But I did pay for vehicle registration. And that's about it. So I'm ready to submit this. And once I click submit, the entry moves into the completed section. So on the client's end, there's organization on what is pending and what has been completed. And this is always available for them to go back and review also. Now, once this is completed, We will also look at some of the open items that we just talked about, and then look at the upload process. How easy is it for us to add files as a client using the same ShareFile technology? So we are not changing it by showing something different from what your clients are used to. In this particular example, all I'll do is click on add files. I can browse to a location on my desktop, go into my list of files and choose a document to upload. You can upload multiple documents as required. Once the upload is successful, I'm going to put in a comment and ask my friend, is this right? Right, so I'm talking about this piece for a reason. I don't have to make a phone call. Once I put in this comment, it automatically shows up on the service provider's end. That has saved our customers and clients a lot of time. Personally, I don't like phone calls. I'll rather do everything online. So I'll go ahead and add my comment, go ahead and submit for review. And we'll have to do these for a couple of them. So what is relevant to you is really what you worry about or what you should be worried about. For example, W-2s. I know I have to upload some W-2s. Let me go ahead and quickly add a W-2 and let's see what that looks like. So I know I had one for 2023 and I'll go ahead and upload it, add a comment and say, is this year the one you are looking for? Boom. Again, do not forget to submit for review because that will be the only thing as a client that you might miss. Now, we've really talked about filling out the form, uploading items into the ShareFile, sorry, into the document request list or the items that are relevant to us. Let's switch over to the service provider's view. I would have received notifications that items have been, I would say, submitted. So I'm not really looking into the ShareFile solution. And what I mean is ShareFile is handling the notifications, letting me know that a letter has been executed, and I don't need to be chasing or spending time looking at the solution. Once an alert comes in, I jump into ShareFile, check what has been sent to me, approve or reject, and then be able to collect those documents and send them out for processing.
I'm just gonna pop in here for a second, Eman, while we are preparing these for clients. We have a question that came through on married clients. So we want to know if 2 or more individuals can be added to the same engagement.
Yes, we can do that because that's the beauty of ShareFile. Granular access controls separate, I would say, access right for the different individuals, and I can show that shortly.
Okay,
But it's very doable. All we have to do is know who we are adding, and there's a section within. I think I can quickly show you within this. So even as the tax client, if I need to assign this to my spouse, even without telling my service provider, I can go in and click assign, put in her first name, last name, and email address, decide what permission I want to assign to her, and she will be able to just see that item if all the other stuff is not meant for her to see.
if we have someone who is already in the service provider's email client list, we can add them from the client list instead of assigning.
Yes, we can add them. From the
So
client list.
everybody that's in the client list of the service provider will be available to add to engagements.
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
And hopefully, our goal is to have a more robust client management system. But yes, once they've been part of ShareFile, they are available across board.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So looking at the document request that contains, I would say, this wasn't the one, sorry about that, employment. What we now see here is a dashboard telling me as a service provider that there's an item for review. It's not yet approved. I need to go in and confirm if it's the right document that I requested from the client. Now, a couple of things that we'll see here is that there's an in review message. We have a count on the attachment and we have a count on the comment. So I'm aware that there's something that I need to do here. I can preview using the same ShareFile capabilities that I've been using all this while to find out what document this is. Is it the right one? And if it is, I'll go ahead and approve it. One thing that we want to introduce is the ability to guide you to close the request faster, so it's not having too many things within your view. So I can go ahead and close this request and also choose to notify any other individuals who are part of this process. I don't like spamming this Gen Z client, so I'll go ahead and close without sending him any notifications, because once I close the entire engagement, he would have a notification. Once a document request is closed out, you can reopen it, right? So you have the option to reopen if it wasn't the right things that were done or the right document, you approved it, but more is required in that process, you can go ahead and do that. Now, having collected all these documents that are required, it's my expectation that when I go into my all files section, I should see every file that has been part of this engagement. So the agreement or the engagement agreement, the forms that I had to upload to be processed, and ask the service provider now. I'm at a stage where I need to now export these files into my tax processing system, right? ShareFile, hopefully one day can process your taxes for you, but this is where I can download, export for into a system. So the more integrations we'll have, the more easier it will be for you to just select and move them into those systems, or use the download option. If you need to add additional files, you can definitely go ahead and do that using the upload section. So now let's assume that we've gone through collecting the documents. I've put it in my tax preparation software. It's crunched the numbers. It's sent me a 1040, which I need to provide to my client. What I'll do here is locate that document, upload it into my document section. It will not be available to my client yet because I want to make sure he's made a payment. I want to make sure that, once he sees this, I don't have to go chase him for any other outside payments or engagements. Sorry, payments, right? So I've been able to successfully upload my 1040. But this guy is, as I mentioned, is Gen Z. So he wants me to go ahead and submit his return to the IRS. Right. So he wants me to electronically file this. And within ShareFile, we've talked about 3 things that we do, or within the solution that is very helpful: the document request, the information request, and the signature request. The document that I'm going to send to him really is all about giving me the approval. So I need a signature. So I'm going to start a signature request. And this is where the ShareFile solution is showing a lot of promise, because we are not only looking for items within ShareFile or from your computer, by using the capabilities of templates, the templates that I just talked about as resources. So anything that you feel should be a template, you can go ahead and create it, and it's available across the platform or your account for you to use. My 8879 form is ready. It has all the fields and the information that needs to be collected. And all I have to do here is put in my client's email address, first name and last name and email address, and we're going to send this request to him. It will be the same process as the engagement letter. He gets an email, he needs to sign off. Now, when we talk about the ShareFile platform being closely integrated, it's because when we sign, we can place it in a location for us to store, right? Most solutions will have you download it, upload it to a different location, but ShareFile is providing that structure where you can go in and store that document. So if you have client folders that you were working with him on, you can now store those for archival purposes, right? You can also set an expiration date. And if I need to include the KBA capabilities, I'll go ahead and turn it on, and it will challenge my customer to provide answers to the questions that will be part of this KBA request. For the sake of the demo, I wouldn't go through the KBA, but just so you see that the capability is there for you to utilize. It's all inbuilt. You don't have to have a different subscription to do this. I'll go ahead and send this request, and it should land in my client's inbox. And when it's signed, a copy will be available in this tax engagement that we have going on. So let's jump into my client view, get into his inbox. Hopefully Google has delivered it on time. Yes. And we'll go ahead and do some signing. I think after a while you get used to it being easy what to look out for. But again, you have a guide to tell you what you need to provide so you don't miss any questions, right? We can also pre-fill this. I just wanted us to see the experience, but ideally you would want this auto-fill, pre-fill, so that the customer is just doing minimal stuff when he receives this. These are the options again. You can save progress, download a copy, or decline. But I will go ahead and submit this because we want to really have our tax returns, the 1040 in hand, and receive our tax returns or the income faster. Having signed off the 8879 that authorizes the service provider to electronically file this 1040, we will go in and now make this available to the client because I've confirmed with finance that he's made a payment. He's sent me the document that I can confirm that he's filled out. I'm authorized to go ahead and send this off to IRS. So how do I now make this available for him, his 1040, for him to have access to within his portal in the tax returns section? I'll go ahead and select the file. This is my completed 1040. Okay. So this would make sure that all the files were uploaded correctly. But this will be the section where I'm going to upload the 1040 to my client. So he has it in his portal. I do apologize for any messages. I've really played around with this. And I'm going to share this with the client. It's the same process as we have in ShareFile today, where I find my client. I can decide what permissions to give them. If I need to add a new client at this stage, because the spouse of the client needs to see this document, we can go ahead and do that. View only can be set so that you only see it on download, but you definitely want them to download this. So we'll set the download permissions, go ahead and share it out. Now, to make this make sense, the same access control rights, the concept that we have in our old ShareFile, in the folder sections, has been redesigned so that you only get to see the various sections within the solution that you are authorized to. So this is an example of permissions that we have given to that client for them to be able to view this 1040. So it says that the files have now been successfully shared. My expectation is that when I come into my client's portal, under the tax returns section, I should have a copy for myself. And we have to be doing a lot of the refresh because, I mean, all this doesn't happen within 30 minutes for your clients, but because of a webinar, we will have to show this. So this is proof that he only sees the 1040 that has been completed. He can go ahead and download it. If he has share permissions, he can go ahead and share it out. So this really now ties in the piece of making sure we've generated the 1040, we've submitted it to the client. He has approved, he likes his return amount, he's excited. As the service provider, I've been able to meet his expectation. I promised he was going to have a good experience this year, and it looks like I'm on a good path. Honestly, we are done because I've been able to successfully get all his letters signed, file his return. So I'll go ahead and close this engagement. By clicking on the More Options button, we can change this to closed. We can also create an activity report. And the reason why we would like to talk about this is if you have any questions around what happened in the process, who touched what, where it was signed off. All this will be in as an admin, or as a consultant, you have somewhere to do your audits. I'll go ahead and change this to closed. And what we would now do is go back into the tax solution. And we do not see this listed because it's closed out. Again, helping me focus on what is open, what I need to get completed. But to view that closed item, I'll go back, click on the closed option, and it will list that for me. If anything was recently deleted in terms of an engagement, you can still go back to it and restore it. So rest assured there's continuity, there's a way for us to restore items within the specified period of 45 days. And if we need to come back and reopen items, it's just clicking on it, going back to the more options and changing it to open. I think this really has been efficient, time-saving, and my client has seen the new and improved experience, and has also saved him a lot of time. Thank you, and that brings me to the end of my demo.
We have a couple of questions, Eman. Could we show how the tax solution integrates with other tools that the tax professionals may be using? Some of the integrations.
Yeah, so that will be in the integrations piece. So this will be the list. I believe we are actively trying to add up to this list. But QuickBooks, FreshBooks are examples of what some of the customers that I work with use today.
Great, great. What are some of the key security measures in place to protect the sensitive tax information?
Yeah, so the ShareFile solution itself was built based on security, right? Secure file sharing. So the end user has a username and password they need to provide. If we want to tie in two-factor authentication, we can do that. For encryption, we are using AES 256-bit encryption. When it also comes to the reason why we're also developing these integrations is to have that seamless platform where files can move from one solution to the other, or application to the other, without having to download it to expose the surface of attack, right? So everything will be happening platform to platform, and these are the various examples of security. When it comes to the users themselves, you have the ability to set up that granular access control. So who gets to see what, like we recently, I mean, from the previous questions that we had, what permissions will be appropriate, you have to know that. And once that is set up properly, it's very secure. So those will be some of the security items that ShareFile is providing to secure that tax information.
Great. So we're not quite at tax season yet, but we do have some customers that have been testing out and using the solution already.
This particular customer talks about taking the guesswork out of client work, right? Not every firm is tech savvy or has the staff or the manpower to manage and build these efficiencies within the organization. It takes time. So with these built-in automation and ready-to-use templates within the ShareFile solution, you're spending less time doing the gathering, doing the onboarding, and investing time in the client advisory. So
Yeah, and Eman, I imagine we have customers joining us today, but I imagine we might also have prospects joining us today. So I'd love to hear from you. What's the path to getting started with this tax solution? I understand there could be a couple different paths, but just curious if you have some guidance on how to get there.
you can give us a call. I'm on the sales side. I'm always happy to help you get onboarded. You can also go online, type in sharefile.com. You have the ability to start a trial, but you need to know what plan would have the tax solution, and that will be our ShareFile industry advantage. So if you are new, once you provision a trial, this will be available for you, but you need to make a purchase after the 30 days to have the full-fledged features to use. So the industry advantage is the plan that would have the tax solution.